Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of understanding of the steps of the technique this week. So I'm going to try to do short little 5-minute videos that are really quick so that you can know exactly what you're doing when we start to make some good changes, when we start practicing, really practicing next week. So focus. What is the focus? The focus is, what is the problem? What is the issue? What is the situation? What emotion is it causing in me? What is the feeling? Is there a sensation? Am I seeing vivid pictures? Is it in color? Is it in black and white? When I see the emotion, does it feel heavy, light? Is it big word emotion, a small word, flashing? The focus is seeing what it is that you are seeing in your head. Okay? So if you're seeing words, you're seeing pictures, you're seeing something that represents what the problem is. That is what the focus is all about. Now, the focus can also be where you're asking yourself particular questions to get how your brain is going to answer them. So when I'm working on myself, I have like 30 questions that I can ask myself to see what my brain is really thinking, how it's going to reply. So am I okay about this situation? But you find out you're not okay with it if this was added to it, or if this came from another person. So it's okay if George says it, but if it's Felix, it's a different reaction. So I have like 30 questions that you'll get too, but I'm not going to give them to you now until you have gotten used to the technique. Otherwise, you'll get bogged down in them. So we just start with, what is the problem? How can it be worse? How are you feeling about it? The emotion that you're feeling, have you ever felt that particular emotion before? Because you're going to find out that whatever's bothering you now is pretty much probably connected to something in the past. And so if you're feeling pushed right now with someone, you got to look and see, when was the last time I was feeling pushed? Was it something with regards to when I was in school and my parents were trying to get me to good grades? Was it whatever? And as soon as you can see the earliest time that you felt that emotion, that is the subject that you address. So most of the time when I'm working on myself or helping other people to work on themselves, the issue right now is really connected to something when they were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, way before. We address that issue. And when you address that issue, it dominoes effects into the current issue. So instead of working here and then going back, like you have to work this issue and this issue and this issue, if you actually work the original, it will domino affect it and take it down. So this current one will just disappear because the issue where it started from is no longer there. The message is no longer there. So now when the message is here, it's like, wow, that's not the message. So that is the focus. That's the whole purpose of the focus. Trying to see what's the source. You can start out with just current if you're dealing with something current, especially if you're just dealing with something real quick and you want it to kind of go away a little. But when you want to work it and get it all the way down, that's when you're going to see, when was the first time I felt this way? When was the first time I experienced this? And that is the focus. So I hope you're going to understand that focus, distract, and go happy. They're just 3 little steps. But the complexity of what's involved with them, why it works, what you end up looking at is very broadened. Okay? It's not just you're saying, oh, I'm unhappy, distract myself, come back. You actually got to find the source. If you can. If you can't find the source, then you just work with what you know. I always tell people, sometimes I get a loss. Well, I can't think of when the first time I was angry. I'm like, don't worry about it. Just what's the closest time you can remember from being angry? Was it when you were 18? Was it 19? When you failed a test? Whatever it is, just go with what you know. Because later on, your brain will start to trust you to know that you can handle everything that happened to you. And it will help you to remember things that you would say, oh yeah, this is helpful in helping me to see why I feel this way about this, why I think this way about this, and then be able to make the shift so that you can, in the present, not be chained to you know what that is keeping you stagnant or not moving forward or just not happy all the time. Anyway, that is my little spiel, and I hope you understand focus, what that means a little better. Okay, so we're going to now do distract number 2 step. Now, distract is really important because it is taking your mind off of step 1, which is what you were focusing on, and it is making you refocus. It is making you redirect, re-engage your mind in something else. Now, the reason why this is good is because when we are bothered by something, usually we just keep focusing on it, and it builds until it reaches a point where it kind of disperses. And then we repeat that cycle the next time the same thing happens or the next time we think of it. So with this technique, what it does is it has you think of this, but instead of you building and building, what you're doing is now you're going to interrupt the thought pattern and you're going to distract or engage. And that's what you do with number 2. Do it with music. You can do it with playing word games in your head, math in your head, anything that is going to be a literal distraction by using your mind. Playing a game on your phone, or as I have had you doing, which is to listen to music, listen to the words of the music, to feel the music. Okay, so you're re-engaging the mind. Now, why does this work? Well, because the brain does one or the other. And so when you get it to stop, you're starting to get the brain to release any emotional attachment it has to what is in focus number 1. This is why when people fall in love, in the beginning, they are so focused on what? So it's all good. And then at some point, they start focusing on what? The things that they don't like to see. And if they focus on that too much, all of a sudden that person looks completely different in their eyes, and therefore now they're not happy. So with your brain and when you're dealing with your emotions, when you have issues that come up and it has a high emotion to it, you learn to bring it down, to accept, feel, and release it instead of letting it build. That's where you get the you always, you never, because we're not releasing it, we're adding it, we're stacking it. Okay, so distract number 2 is going to help you to detach the emotion from that issue and redirecting your mind. Okay, and each round that you do, each step 1, step 2, step 3, it does this link loosening until it looses it. So the event no longer wants to stay a priority of anger or resentment. It just goes. And you can just keep moving forward in life. Now, a lot of people do not wish to do that because they feel that that emotion, that memory is helping them to what? Stay safe, that they need that in order to prevent it from happening again. But again, as I repeat, and you'll hear me say this 1,000 times, that's actually the worst thing you can do because your brain is in a high agitated state and it therefore cannot really, the logic part of the brain, it cannot think properly. So it won't be able to find solutions. It won't be able to find a way out. It'll just stay as a blaring alarm. So you may have anger, you may have resentment, something came up. Well, that's an alarm. There's something that you need to do. And then when you do it, it should be silent. It's like a smoke alarm. If the smoke alarm in your house was going 24/7 all the time, how helpful is it? So if you keep that high emotion 24/7 all the time about that particular thing, it just becomes a blaring noise that is of no use. So you drop the emotion down. So then, or all the way down is what I like to say. So then, and then the logic mind, it will keep you very safe. So just like someone who has a fear of swimming and never swam in their life, if they got rid of that fear of swimming, of drowning, would they then automatically, because they don't have that fear anymore, go and just jump in the ocean and start swimming? No, because the logic mind knows that they have to know how to swim first. So your brain will keep you safe. Using fear to keep you safe interferes the logic mind of keeping you safe. It is an interference. It does not help it. It makes it harder. Okay? So remember that. You'll hear me say that 5,000 gazillion times, because our brains have been taught that you get really upset with yourself to make yourself do things. You never going to ever trust another man again because of what happened, and it stays it strong. You're never gonna do that kind of job again, so it keeps it so strong, and it actually ends up blocking you from things that are that could be beneficial for you, or that could open doors of opportunity. It starts making your world smaller instead of opening it, instead of doing more things or what you're saying you want to do. These emotional things that are screaming like a smoke alarm that doesn't go off actually prevents you from being at your most fruitfulness. So I hope I kept it under 5, maybe 6. I don't know. Sometimes I get going. Ciao, ciao. Are you ready for the happy place? Now, the happy place can be a little difficult, especially if you've been dealing with a lot of things, feeling really bad about life in general, or about yourself, or if you're in an overwhelming situation. So then your brain, it will actually tell you the story that you don't know anything happy. And that is actually just a story that your brain is telling you. So believe me, you know how to be happy. Some point in your life, you had a happy moment. And so you know, you've had many happy moments. But the bad is overwhelming it so much, it won't allow you to think that you know that there is any good in your life or anything happy that ever happened. So if you can't find something, do not freak out. Imagine it. That's what we have an imagination for. Imagine what you think would be the most wonderful, happy thing ever. So you can either find a happy memory, a happy thought. Is it your pet? Is it your grandkids? Is it your children? Is it nature? Is it a hobby you love? Find that happy place. And that is going to be your anchor when you're doing this technique. And you also remember your happy place can enhance. It doesn't even have to be realistic. It doesn't have to be logically realistic. It could be a fantasy of something, but make it happy. Okay? Like some people get all involved in games. It's not real what they're doing on the screen, but they really get into it. So you're going to really get into your happy. You need to feel it. Okay? The more you feel it in the first person, that means it's you, and you can see your hands. It's not you watching you doing something. It's you can actually be as if you are. Okay? That is what you want to do for happy. Each of these steps are extremely important. And as you hone your skills, you'll get more skillful at it. So do not fret. If you're having difficulty with the happy, then just put on a song that you love and the beat of it. Listen to that. Okay? Or put on a song that you love and dance. I mean, that is like one of the best things you can do, because movement combined with your emotion, combined with what you're thinking, oh, that's a triple threat. So don't get overwhelmed or stopped with happy. Happy is something that can be real, as in it happened to you, or your imagination, something that you create, that you imagine happening. Now, a lot of people may, like I say, have difficulty with that, but just think of it this way. If you started dating someone and you imagine the good things that could come from it, that's what we do automatically, right? You start imagining. Or we get in a raise, we can already imagine what we're going to do with that money. So use your imagination. You have a great gift. And we're going to learn that imagination is not the healthiest for catastrophizing. Is that the word? Catastrophizing things, or by thinking of the most worst scenario. Okay, that is the least effective way you want to use your imagination. You want to use it in a good way, and that is by assuming, keeping the big picture, and making good out of everything. Okay, that's the way you want to use your imagination in a good way. So get your happy place, and you're going to be ready to do this wonderful technique. And don't worry, as I say, your happy place will change. You don't have to keep the same one. If you don't like it, get another one. Enjoy.